Hello, I am Ian, and this video is about the do's and don'ts of dieting. Well, do eat something you fancy eating that's good for you. You want to eat some, you want water. You want to get either bottled water or a water distiller. You don't want to drink the tap water. You know, that stuff's only good for flushing the loo. You didn't even want to get a bath and that stuff. You want some butter. Not margarine, the process that turns an oil into a spread. That makes margarine so unhealthy it can leave the fats and unusable, so you don't want to do that. You want butter. And also you want some Celtic Sea Salt, the grey, slightly damp stuff. It's dried out ocean. Now, if you like salt, you're going to love this stuff. And if you don't like salt, or you've been cutting salt out of your diet because it's supposedly unhealthy for you, well, this stuff is healthy. The refined stuff, unhealthy, fair enough. But this dried out ocean, it's got a lot of trace elements in it, and it's really got this nice tingly zing about it. The taste, it's different altogether than the table salt, and you know, it's essential for bodily functions such as like digestion and electrical conductivity in our nervous systems. If you've got like muscle cramps, this is noticeably better with this Celtic Sea Salt. Give that a go, it works. You want no artificial sweeteners, preservatives or flavour enhancers, basically no processed food. You know, the artificial sweetener aspartame in nearly all the fizzy pop. So and it's a neurotoxin, it causes cancer, and you want nothing to do with that. In fact, none of the artificial sweeteners are any good, even the plant-based stuff, just keep away from it. You're better off with the sugar. Not that you want to be drinking too much of the fizzy pop, but you're better off with the sugar than the artificial sweetener. So anything that's been hydrogenated, hydrolyzed or modified, you need to keep away from that if you're reading the labels. And eat more fat and more protein. Eating fat doesn't make you fat. It's a fuel source, but it's a slower burning than the carbohydrates, so it lasts longer. So therefore, you don't eat as much. And the missing piece of the puzzle to the lose weight, get in great shape, fat loss scenario is correct movement. Correct walking mechanics. If you don't contract your muscles properly, you end up with fatty, lumpy bits sticking on you, and the way we walk basically determines what shape we turn into. So if you want curvy flowing lines, it's correct walking mechanics. And they hybridized the wheat in the 1950s. You know, I remember something was on the TV. It was after the Second World War. They spent about 8 years going around the planet taking samples. And then they spend another 8 years hybridizing the wheat using these samples. And then they've created this new strain of wheat, which is high yielding, but it's causing a lot of health and wellness problems. And it was, you know, the Rockefeller Center were involved with the whole thing. So, you know, the alarm bell should start ringing as soon as you hear that name. So here's a bit on what's happened when they hybridized the wheat.
In the 1950s, and they changed the wheat to create a plant with a high yield of grain. But in that hybridization process of creating a plant with a high yield of grain, they also adjusted a few areas that of course they didn't mean to. It was just part of the hybridization process. It was rushed through with no safety studies. And it's only now they're starting to see the problems that this hybridization of the wheat caused. It changed the starch structure. So this starch structure gets the blood sugar level up high even than refined sugar. That explains the mushrooming epidemic we've got of diabetes. It also changed the gluten or the protein structure into a structure that's very difficult to digest. So there's your celiacs, there's your gluten intolerances. And if someone has an allergy to the hybridized wheat, which is quite common because of the way it was changed, there will be excess mucus produced.
We're going to look at why modern wheat is causing so many health problems, and why the wheat from 100 or 1,000 years ago didn't cause the same problems.
And here's another little bit on the flavour enhancer MSG, or monosodium glutamate. Also makes your stuff, your gob. You know, the food tastes great, but you eat more. Here's a little bit on that.
Hi guys, in this video we're going to talk about hidden insulin, okay? So you might not be aware of this, but MSG, monosodium glutamate, will increase insulin by 300%, okay? And it's also hidden as modified food starch. So monosodium glutamate is modified food starch. There's some other hidden names too, like hydrolyzed vegetable protein or hydrolyzed yeast or hydrolyzed soy. So when you read the labels, make sure that you don't consume food with any of this right here. We're going to talk about chronic pain and MSG, monosodium glutamate. Is there a connection? Yes, there is a connection. Now, what is an MSG that's so bad? Well, glutamate is a naturally occurring amino acid in soy sauce, Parmesan cheese, and it's also in our brains as a major neurotransmitter. Now, the problem is it also has another effect of being an excitotoxin, which means it has the potential to damage your nerve cells and cause chronic pain. But not just chronic pain, headaches, migraines, chronic fatigue, sleep issues. And in one study, it was actually quite interesting because the group that removed MSG from their diet and drank more water showed a similar effect to that group that took acetaminophen, which is the painkiller drug. So by staying off MSG and drinking more water, you can create similar effects to taking a painkiller, which is actually interesting. So it just goes to show you the effect of MSG on your nervous system because it actually damages your nerves.
So all this means that it's stimulating your appetite and making you eat more, and as well as damaging the nervous system and your intestine. So if you can please like, subscribe, tell your friends, share, tell your friends. I'm going to leave it there with this one. I found what true history, you know what I mean, where we come from, the meaning of life, what's it all about. And the answer is we live in a created reality, and the Earth's an experiment to create one of our bodies. Our bodies are the technology, the ghost in the machine idea, the energy being in a body. We're all an eternal spark of the creation of a source, exploring a thought. So, you know, the pyramids are a health and wellness device, the Holy Bible. Some of it's talking about the inner workings of our bodies, and it's a keep fit book, with some of the instruction being to balance your emotional pathways, otherwise you end up with a health and wellness problem. I'll see you on the next one. Thank you very much.